has been just over 3 months since the city of Duluth had to close a key entry point into Morgan Park. The decision followed word that the railway bridge over the street leading into the neighborhood was deemed unsafe. Well, the city has done its part, but now everyone is waiting for the railway company that maintains the bridge to make its next move. Northern News Now's Isabella Zandra tells us why this small closure is creating some big challenges.
Tim Kasperi is a former resident of Morgan Park and admits that the area has seen some changes.
You know what? I've been driving 60 years. I've been under this bridge, and now all of a sudden I can't go under it anymore. And none of these people can. So it's an inconvenience, really.
In early October, the Morgan Park Bridge and Idaho Street that sits below it were closed off, deeming the bridge structurally unsound. Now, travelers are forced to take 88th Avenue West, both when entering and leaving the neighborhood, almost backtracking through Morgan Park. Kasperi says this is a huge inconvenience, not only to him, but the people who live in the neighborhood. He hopes that the Canadian National Railway can get the project moving sooner than later.
So much easier until the railroad makes a commitment to remove this bridge or do something with it. This road should be open.
Chris Belden is the Assistant General Manager for Duluth Transit Authority and is dealing with some similar frustrations. Normally, a bus would drive through downtown, Morgan Park, and then to Gary, New Duluth. But because of the bridge's closure and detour, the DTA says it's too long of a trip.
We had to cut that route short and add an additional shuttle where we ask that passengers who want to go further west get off of that bus and then transfer to another bus.
These temporary changes are costing the DTA $75,000 per month, with drivers putting in longer hours on that route. But the DTA saw the need for the transportation in the area and wanted to fill that gap. In Duluth, Isabella Zadra, Northern News Now.
Isabella, thank you. Now, Canadian National Railroad maintains the bridge and is responsible for what happens next. We've reached out to them several times, but have not heard back.